Right, shalom, shalom. I'd like to start off by giving all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahushua, by Hashem Chakodash. Double honor to the apostles of GMS that give us his truth and Holy Spirituality. And salutations to all the Akim pushing this word throughout the four corners of the earth in sincerity and the truth. This is your brother Yahweh Sop, coming back at you with another lesson. You know, traffic and talk, right? You know, pretty much meditating, you know, watching, you know, different videos, going into the current news, you know, and that's always a topic to talk about, you know, prophecy, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, right now in the news, the latest thing is the Hantavirus, you know, which is, you know, this deadly virus, deadly so-called disease, and it has about a 40% death rate, I believe 40 to 50%. And, you know, they're using the same method that they were using with COVID back during the pandemic 5 years ago. They're using the same exact methods, you know, on cruise ship. As soon as I seen cruise ship, I'm like, oh, here we go again, right? And, you know, they had this video of this crisis actor, right, which they say is a passenger on a ship. And as soon as the nigga started talking, I'm up, I recognize this nigga, right? They use the same nigga. And it turned out, you do your research, do it is actually a crisis actor, you know what I'm saying, in different events. So, you know, it's looking like they're gonna use this demic, right, to issue another lockdown. So it's gonna be double. You know, it's gonna be energy lockdown as well as, you know, demic lockdown, right? A pandemic lockdown, you know? And this time is gonna be harsher. As your man, your boy, you know, BG, Bill Gates, he said what? That this one is gonna get their attention this time. The first one didn't get their attention, this one is gonna get their attention. Why? Because the first one was a test run. You know, the first one, you know, was about compliance. You know, it was about to see who's foolish enough to go along with the agenda. And they seen that 70% of people went along with it. So, you know, they know that that's the number they're working with. That's around how much people they know are gonna go along with the agenda. So, you know, and even then, you know, people have woken up to their tactics. People ain't buying the bullshit anymore. People know how they've been deceived during the demic, you know. So this time is gonna be real. Like your boy said, it's gonna get their attention, because this one is actually gonna be real. The last one was based off of lies, you know, talking about, oh, this one died of the Novid. This one died of the Novid. We know it was all bullshit. You know, the people that died during that time mostly died from the ventilators and from, you know, the sticks they were putting up people's noses, as well as the jabba dabba deuce, the boosies, the little boosies, you know what I'm saying, that they was given, right? That's what's actually killing people, you know. And we know that with research that they've done with the boosie boost, the jabba dabba deuce, you know, it has the nanotechnology in there, the graphene oxide. And the graphene oxide, the nanoparticles, they're programmable. And they can respond to different frequencies from outside, which means that they can use 5G, they can use signals, different frequencies to wake up different viruses and diseases within people. So they have the ability to do that. So they could easily intensify this thing. You know, and we know that Bill Gates, he has technology already, right? It's already came out that they could spray diseases in the air, you know? So they could easily, like, they're using this thing as, you know, as we see, right? The people that were on the ship, they're letting them go home and everything. So they want this thing to spread. Even if it's not real, they're gonna use this story to actually spread the real thing, whether by air or in the food, or them using the frequency to wake up what people took back during the first demic, you know, they're gonna use this to bring about the real thing. And when they bring it about, it's gonna allow for more draconian measures, right? We're gonna see more what's it called? Harsh tactics, harsh measures being taken, especially when it comes to the digital IDs, right? You know, you got Europe right now using the crisis for the Strait of Hormuz. The European Union, they basically said they're gonna start using digital euro. You know, so this is all an agenda to lead towards the MOTB, the mark, all right, which is that RFID microchip, you know, that Neuralink or whatever, right? They're gonna use that. You know, it's gonna start with the IDs, and eventually it's gonna be implantables, wearables, you know. And Trump already has that signed in the executive order for 6G. It includes what? Microchips, you know, bio implants, you know. So you camps, man, you ain't gonna be able to deny this anymore, man, right? When this thing come down, just as these camps told the Israelite congregations, just as they told them to go ahead and take the vaccine, the clot shot, they're gonna tell them take the new jabs that they're gonna come out with, man. Because best believe they're gonna push for more jabs. And you know, if you don't have the new update, right, the new upgrade, so to speak, you know, they ain't gonna allow you to have a bank account, right? It's gonna be like China social credit system, where people that they take the jabba dabba deuce, you know, they kind of ostracized out of society too. They have low credit scores. People are homeless, you know. So this thing is gonna allow for more draconian measures, because they have, you know, all the pieces on the chessboard ready to implement this digital technocracy. You know, which technocracy pretty much, which is the rule of technology, right? And it's gonna be by the means of this digital ID, digital currency. You know. Everything going digital. Now, new cars coming out. They're gonna have cameras in them and AI to basically have a kill switch, you know, on your car for the government to shut it off. And your car's gonna be able to drive itself to the police station, right? Do all kinds of madness, man. Lock you in there, you know, for perpetuity. You can't get out now. The car could be used to kill you, right? To commit suicide, you know. And in the midst of all this, you got the Pentagon got approved for a budget of over $50 billion for AI weaponry, you know, which the company basically is gonna provide over 50,000 robots, AI robots by 2027, by next year. So these things are already being produced right now. Or they already, matter of fact, they already got them. Because if they already signing that, they already got them, right? So they already got a 50,000 batch ready that they're gonna use. So you're gonna see robots patrolling the streets, as we've been saying for years, man. Starting with the apostles of GMS, we've been saying that this was gonna happen, man. Before AI came out and all of that, that you're gonna see robots in the streets, man. You know that the so-called white man was gonna do that. So through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shemashah, we're the prophets, man. We're the men of the Lord, right? Everything that the apostles were saying on 34th Street, now it's coming to fruition. You know, you got World War III taking place in the midst of all this. You know, you know, Slaka, let me start quoting some scriptures. You know, but it says in, you know, let's start with 2nd Ezra. You know, the 9th chapter. It says, measure the times diligently in itself. And when you see the signs of the times, then show you know that the Most High is going to visit the world which He made, right? So it says, measure the times diligently. How do we measure the times? Is by the means of the scriptures. You know, the prophecies. The prophecies is how we line up the current events through the words of Yahweh Shemashah. Because events are affected by Yahweh Shemashah's words. You know, the word is spoken first, and that vibration has physical effect on the world. Like it says in Isaiah the 55th chapter, Isaiah 55 and 11, so shall the word of the Lord be that goes forth out of his mouth. It shall not return unto him void, but it shall accomplish that which he pleases, and it shall prosper in the thing whereto he sent it. So when the Most High says something, it's gonna prosper. You know, like the scriptures say, for the vision is for an appointed time, in Habakkuk the 2nd chapter, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. So the vision is speaking. So the vision has to be spoken first, right? And through that speech, it affects things going all over the earth. There's a scripture in Psalms that says, he sendeth forth his commandment upon earth, his word runneth very swiftly. So the commandment and word of the Lord is these scriptures, these prophecies. The Lord has commanded these things to happen, it's gonna happen. And every man is gonna be found a liar, right? Now it's being made manifest who the true men of the Lord are, starting with the apostles of GMS, man. You know, you got congregations among these other camps asking questions about the MOTB, about the digital currency, and they got these guys looking bad, man. They're looking uncomfortable, man. Right? They're in a bad spot, you know. So they're having to come up with freestyle, you know, come up with shit on the fly, like, you know, and they're backed into a corner. But the time is coming where when it's mandatory, when it's actually here, there's gonna be no denying that is that, right? And you leaders, you're gonna go ahead and tell your congregations to take it, just like you're gonna go ahead and tell them to go ahead and take these new shots, right, to go along with the word bros, and you know, because you got to feed your family. That they're gonna use scriptures to entice Israel to go off. If a man that don't feed his own house, he's worse than an infidel. Obey the powers that be, right? And our people gonna go along with it, man. And that's gonna be the destruction of your congregations, man. Right? Because you following blind leaders, man. The blind is gonna lead you to your ditch, to your own destruction, because that's what you were appointed to in the first place. Just because you know you are Israelite doesn't mean you are part of the Most High's elect. As the scriptures say, many are called, but few are chosen. So just because you're called doesn't mean you're chosen. You got to work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. Which, working out your own salvation is being occupied in prophecies, watching out for the current events, you know. And you guys, you haven't been doing that, man. Only GMS is known as a camp of prophecies, man. You know, these other camps, they're not known to be prophets, man. You're known to be confrontational and you know, you like to go viral. You know what I'm saying? That's what these camps are about. They like to go viral. They're not really about pushing the prophecies. They're not trying to hurry up and get up out of here, man. Which is why they're always pushing for, you know, their congregations, their people to dwell here in America, to dwell in Babylon. Pushing for what's it called? Israelite communities, right? Israelite schools, businesses, we're gonna do this and all that, right? Talking about in years and all of that, you know? That's because you guys, their minds, they want to stay here in this place, man. They don't want America to be over with, right? They want to go to Egypt, you know? Just like back in Egypt of old, Israel was complaining about being in the wilderness, you know? And that's gonna be Israelites among these other camps too. They're gonna complain when Jacob's trouble comes, when life gets harder, because they haven't been prepping up their minds for that, which is symbolic as to the wilderness, right? And they're gonna remember Egypt, the cucumbers, the leeks, and the garlics, right? That's what they wanted, you know, the leeks and the garlics. So they wanted comfort. So that need, that want for comfort, you know, is gonna get them trapped up. You know, they're gonna go ahead and take a microchip. All right, because they're gonna want to go back to normal. They're gonna want some form of normalcy in their life. Life is gonna be too hard. Not being able to eat, due to the famines, right? Due to the shortages, you know. So life is only going to get harder, man. This place is not going to catch a break. So going back to 2nd Ezra, the 9th chapter, it says, measure the times diligently in itself. And when you see part of the signs come to pass, then you will know that the Most High is going to begin to visit the world which he made. And it says, therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, which we have been seeing over the years, earthquakes have became more and more intense and more frequent and in more diverse places, as spoken of in the scriptures, you know, like never seen before, right? So it says, uproars of the people in the world. You got protests going on all over the earth. You had the No Man's King's protest a few weeks ago, which was the biggest ever in the earth, I believe. Over 10 million people protested against Trump, right? And the whole world protesting against Trump. The whole world protesting against their different leaders in their countries, you know. And it's only going to get harder as these shortages happen, as these crises intensify, which is happening now as we speak. You know, these populations, they're not going to care about, you know, who's really responsible. They're just going to want somebody to blame. And they're going to blame the ones in power, you know. And as the scriptures say, they shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the force of their actions shall stand in their power. So they're not going to have any regard for the ones in authority, you know, for what they're coming out and telling them on TV to try to pacify them. You know, we have to remain calm, and, you know, this is just a storm that we're going to have to get through and everything. People ain't going to want to hear it, man. Fuck you telling me my kids are starving, you know? Kids are starving, and you just came back from a trip. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just have it. Like, and then, you know, you got Trump right now. They building that ballroom. It's supposed to be $400 million at first, right? Matter of fact, it was $250. And then they went up to 400. And now it's talks that, oh, now it's going to be over $1 billion. A ballroom. So as this place is going down, as people suffer, these elites, they're enriching themselves even more and more. And not only are they enriching themselves at the cost of the people, but even all the expenses, right? Like that ballroom. Trump got money to build that. You know, these other billionaires, they got money to do that. But guess what? They're not going to do that. They're going to use their taxpayer dollars. They're going to choke people more and more, you know? So guess what? These people ain't gonna care. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and of course their actions shall stand in their power. You know, they're gonna take matters in their own hands. Like, nah, fuck that. I'm not calming down. I gotta feed my children. You know, gas is $10 a gallon. What you mean? You know, ain't no food. You know, I gotta get it by any means, right? That's how bad it's gonna get, man. You know. And it says, after you see uproars of the people, then you're going to know that the Most High is going to begin to visit the world which he made. And how does the Most High visit the earth? Isaiah 29:5, you know, Isaiah 29:6. You shall be visited of the Lord of hosts with thunder, and with earthquake, and with great noise, with storms and tempests, and with the flame of devouring fire. So, through so-called natural disasters, which are unnatural due to the fact that they're not normal. You know, yes, it is natural as far as its nature, but they're not normal because the Most High is the one intensifying their occurrences, but they're unnatural as far as the Most High is giving the so-called white man that technology to stir shit up as, you know, as he will, you know, to manipulate the weather and things of that nature, which is, when he opens up that Pandora's box, it also has a ricochet effect in other parts of the earth. So now this thing is affecting the whole earth. Now you got this El Nino that's gonna happen, heat wave this summer, right? They said talking about heat waves this summer all over America, and it says it's gonna affect the late for, you know, the later year to next year's weather, which means we might have unprecedented winters as far as record-breaking heat in the winter, you know. And this is through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shemashah, things that brothers have brought out throughout the years, elder brothers, the apostles, that I've brought out throughout the years too. How we're gonna see, you know, plagues, you know, of, you know, what's it called? Things you've never seen before. Like, it's abnormal. Like, heat, record-breaking, hotter than summer winter, and colder than winter summers, and vice versa. Colder winters. Throughout all of this, like, the Most High is gonna fuck everything up. The Most High is gonna turn everything upside down, as it says in Isaiah the 24th chapter. You know, the Lord is gonna He maketh the earth empty, scatter from it abroad, and turn it upside down or something like that. He's gonna do that through the missiles, yes, but the plagues is gonna come in many forms before even the missiles. And as the scripture says in 2 Ezra the 15th chapter, the Lord is gonna smite Egypt with plagues as before and destroy the land thereof. But when you read before that, towards the beginning of the chapter, which we can go into, it says 2 Ezra 15:1, speak in the ears of my people the words of prophecy, which I will put it in your mouth, and cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true. And that's what we do. Us making them written in paper is us doing these epistles in the form of these videos, these lessons, going out in the highways and byways, right? Basically making it, revealing it. Because the prophets, when they saw the visions, they saw the Most High reveal it to them, and they wrote it down so they could reveal it to other people. So through the Spirit, the Most High has given us the vision, and, you know, we're reading it and then we're revealing it to Israel. But it says, speak in the ears of my people the words of prophecy, right, which I will put in thy mouth. And Jeremiah 28:8 says what? The prophets that have been before me and before thee of old prophesied both against many countries and against great kingdoms, of wars and of evils and of pestilence. So the prophets of old prophesied of bad things, bad occurrences, wars. That's what we've been doing, you know? The apostles, brothers, elder brothers, right? The elders that the apostles learned from, right? Ariah, you know, Masha, Yaiquab, you know, Abba Bivens, right? Pretty much, you know, they've been prophesying about the downfall of this place. And now, through the decades, you know, the Lord has slowly been breaking this place down, pulling it a piece, you know, little by little, man. And now, you know, through the Spirit, License Plate 666. And now the vision has been revealed, you know, through the apostles, starting with Apostle Tahar, right, about the mark, you know, and now, you know, we're seeing it. And the mark is what? The sign of the end, you know? Because once the mark is made manifest, that's when we're going to see the wrath of the Lord pour forth on the earth in the form of these missiles, right? So we're seeing it's the beginning of it, man. So towards the, you know, this summer to the end of this year to next year, they're going to push the digital ID, right? The digital ID and the microchips due to the Hantavirus, due to cyber attacks, domestic terrorism, terrorist attacks. You know, this digital ID is gonna be, you know, basically the solution for all the problems, for all the chaos that's gonna be out here. So majority of people are gonna take it, you know. Or the digital ID at first, of course, like, it's gonna be digital, but it's gonna be physical, you know, because as the scriptures say in Revelation, the 13th chapter and the 15th, 16th verse, you know, the mark, you know, when we go into it, is the charagma, which is an etching, a engraving, right? And it goes into something physical, man. You know, it goes into it's like it put me off, but yeah, it goes into, you know, physical, man, right? It goes into an engraving, you know, and it's basically you being property to the elites, man. All right, you basically making an allegiance with the powers that be, that you are their slave for the New World Order. All right, that's what that means, you know. So it's gonna be edged into your body. It's gonna be a cutting, right? Like a rampart, a palisade, a stake, which is pretty much all sharp things that you dig into the ground, like a fence, a picket fence, or the palisades during war that would stab the horses and the men from going into the other camp, you know? So it shows you that it's something physical that's gonna pierce through you, all right? So this thing is gonna be manifest, man, you know? So, back to 2 Ezra 15, it says, and cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true. And it says, fear not the imaginations against thee, that not the incredulity of them trouble thee that speak against thee, for all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness. So the unbelief of the unbelievers hasn't troubled us over the years, because we knew that it's going to happen, right? Because of that faith that Yahweh Shemashah has given us, the Wadi Yahweh Shemashah. When people was mocking and scorning the apostles and elders, right? Brothers, elder brothers, you know what I'm saying? The elders before, you know, I came in, you know what I'm saying? Brothers always believed, man. Even during unbelief. You know, when apostles was on 34th Street, you know, when there was the signs of World War III, the signs of martial law, the signs of deadly outbreaks, right? Everything we're seeing happening now, the signs of famine, you know, everything that we see happening now, people was mocking, you know, when they saw the signs, you know, thousands of people walking by every Saturday, thousands of people mocking, people wanting to fight, apostles, brothers got into fights, mad different debates, arguments. Now what? You know, now what? Now shut the fuck up, man. You know, you can't say nothing to us, man, right? You can't say that we're not the men of the Lord, that the apostles are not the men of the Lord, man, that the men of GMS are not the men of the Lord, all right? Now you crazy, you delusional if you don't believe the things that we say, because it's literally happening, man, even though you want to be in denial, all right? But guess what? The time is coming where the Lord is going to remove his men off the streets, you know, because they're about to cut off the internet. They're going to have the digital ID. Just as we see in different countries, you're going to be required to have your digital ID to log on to the internet, to have even your bank account, right? So that they can identify everybody and use the AI database to have the social credit system and eventually lock people out that's not with the agenda. That's, you know, that's not compliant, all right? Because that's what they want, compliance, all right? So they're gonna debank people as they've been doing. They're gonna cancel people, shut down whole websites, you know? They're gonna shut down whole websites, whole channels, radio stations, you know? Freedom of speech is gonna be over with. It's gonna be that technocracy, all right? That technocracy starting with AI, all right? In 4:4, Bracket the Yabashimashah. But it says, for all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness. Now, we've been seeing over the years, you know, scoffers and scorners that have died, you know, over the years, all right, coming up against the apostles, and they end up dying. Crack the news, Prince of Power, and many others. All right. So it says, "Behold, saith the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction." War, famine, epidemics. All right. I think that's how it says it in other version, the GMT. So the sword, famine, death, and destruction. World War III. All these different countries are implementing military drafts. Why? You know, America's gonna have that draft by December. Why? Because we're gonna have a war, potentially, because they're gonna about to kick it back up with Iran. All right, this war. You know, that's the talk they're having. They're about to kick it back up, and they also know that they're choking them with this military blockade, and Iran is gonna be out of capacity to store their oil, which eventually is gonna collapse their economy too. And you know, as the scriptures say, the Carmonians is gonna go out as the wild boars of the wood, and we're seeing that the Iranians, they shooting at everybody, just like a boar come out and swing at anybody, anything that's in the way. A boar is gonna knock out a wild boar in the wood. So the Iranians, they're gonna attack the GCC countries, the Gulf countries, energy, their oil infrastructure even more. Oil is gonna go up over $150 a barrel. We're gonna see $7, $10, $15, $20 a gallon oil, gas. You know, $20 gallon gas. You know, depending on different areas, gas shortages are already happening in America. There's no more oil coming to America. The last ship came, I believe, early this week or last week in California, and that's it. You know, that's it, man. So that means what? Like whatever we're running off of is reserves already. So by the middle of this month to the end of this month, we're gonna see things starting to dwindle. Prices is gonna intensify, double, triple. All right, summertime. Summer's already canceled for everybody. No more vacations. The fuck you think this was? Sit your ass down, man. It's time to get serious, man. It's time for Yahweh Shemal Shah to bring judgment. All right? Ain't no more fucking partying, man. Like it says in Ecclesiastes, to everything there is a time and season to every purpose under heaven, man. You know, a time to love and a time to hate, a time of war and a time of peace. You know, we're in a time of war right now, man. Ain't no time of peace. It's wartime. All right. Ain't no time of making jolly and having a party and like these other camps are always doing, barbecuing. Summertime, you get hot, start having all these marriages and, you know, going crazy, man. Right? It ain't time for that, man. It's time to strap up. Things are gonna intensify. It's gonna get worse. Things ain't gonna be flowing as usual. Like you see how I'm flowing now, the traffic. Ain't gonna be no more flowing, man. It's gonna be dead. Right? Just like I was seeing the demic, but it's gonna be even more on steroids. Ain't gonna be no cars out here. It's gonna be too expensive. Just everything is gonna be more expensive. Just being outside is gonna be expensive because you gotta drive. You gotta spend more money. All right? There's gonna be shortages on things. So people now are gonna resort to cheaper foods, beans, canned beans, right? Liver, intestines, right? The refuse of the meat, right? The bad part of the meat, the shit that stink, the shit, the bones. That's what people are gonna resort to, man. Right? Hey, man. Hey, Barakatah Yahweh Shemal Shah. People are gonna resort to eating unknown meat. They ain't even gonna question it. It's just meat. Don't worry about it. What's this? Don't worry about it. Just meat. You hungry, right? You have meat? Shit. Alright, fuck it. And it's rat. It's a rat burger. We've seen that in different movies. I believe it was Demolition Man. Right? So, yeah, man. Things are gonna get worse. And the scriptures say in Revelation, the 6th chapter, how we're gonna have hyperinflation. Revelation 6:5, the black horse, and it says, measure of wheat for barley and 3 measures of wheat for barley, and see thou heard not the oil and the wine. So that's talking about what? Inflation. The prices going up on things, you know, which a penny is a day's wage. So measure of wheat is going to cost more. Because why? It costs more for the fertilizer, for these different farmers to fertilize their crops. Fertilizer has gone up by 70%. All right, over 70%, and it's gonna keep going up more and more. You know, as time goes on, as things are gonna become more expensive and in more shortage. All right, so it says. I going into? Yeah, Revelation 6 and 5. Yeah, so cash up wheat for a penny and 3 measures of barley for a penny. So imagine paying, you want a box of cereal, $70. God damn. Only the rich is gonna be able to afford food. The rich and the wealthy. But even then, like once we start seeing like the rich, like the millionaires, they start to struggling too, that's when you know it's over with. So we're talking a global recession and depression by summertime, which is gonna mean what? Harsh winter. Or it's gonna be a bad summer, but even harsher winter, man. And the scriptures say what? Pray that your flight be not in the winter. Because being in the winter and being on the run and being hungry, being cold, no power, no electricity, energy is too expensive. Energy is too expensive, you know? No electricity, energy shortage, all right? Darkness everywhere, cold, record-breaking cold, you know? Record-breaking cold, but you're not prepared because you don't have access to the news. There is no radio. You know, there is no TV, no news channel. You have no power. That's how a lot of people are going to get caught off guard. They say, shit, we got, tornado heading to middle of New York City. A lot of people don't know that. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to know that. And then, you know, boom, that's how you get caught off guard. Right? So that's how, you know, the scriptures say what? This day of the Lord is going to come upon the earth as a snare. So it's going to catch people off guard. And the day of the Lord means what? All the plagues that the Lord is going to bring. But mainly starting with the nuclear destruction. But it's going to start with the plagues of Babylon, the plagues of Egypt. All right? It's going to come upon people unaware. You know? So it says back in 2 Ezra 15, it says, behold, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction, for wickedness have exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their hurtful works are fulfilled. The reason the Most High is bringing these plagues upon the earth is because wickedness has spread everywhere and evil has reached its limit, like it says in the GNT. Pardon me. Yeah, so because wickedness has been everywhere, man. Just like before the flood, the scriptures say how the Most High saw the wickedness on the earth, that it was great. The Most High brought the flood upon men. You know, in the book of Sirach, I believe the 40th chapter speaks about death, bloodshed, strife, sword, tribulation, calamity. You know, all these things, they're created for the wicked. And the Most High brought upon the wicked. They were created for the wicked, and the Most High, for their sakes came the flood. So the Most High is going to bring all these things upon them, and this time it's not going to be just a flood. It's going to be a flood of fire in the form of these thermonuclear missiles, which is going to utterly annihilate America, Babylon the Great, Egypt, all right? And other parts of the earth, they're going to get hit too, you know? So this thing is around the corner, man, all right? So it says, verse 5, I think. Yeah, it says, the Lord's going to bring these plagues, you know, because of the wickedness, all right? And then it goes into, my people is being led as a flock to the slaughter. And that's what we see. We're seeing our people being set up by you so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Jacob's trouble. Jeremiah 30:7. That time, alas, for that time is great. None is like it is the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. You know, Jacob being you so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Your trouble is at hand, because when society collapses, society dwindles, the poor always suffers first, and they always suffer the worst. And we already seen that with Trump's decisions. This administration is basically crippled the lower class even more, you know. And if you seeing white people protest, if you seeing, not white people, you Edomites, that's your name, all right, you so-called white people, you know, if you're seeing them protest, the No Kings protest was mainly Edomites, all right, and they even were complaining about how they ain't seen so-called blacks, Hispanics helping them protest against Trump, or how we've been right the whole time, everything we've been saying, because what? Now they're starting to get hit with the same things we've been going through as a people. They're starting to struggle. They can't put food on the table. They can't pay for gas. They can't pay for light bill. All right? Now it's us against them. You know, now it's us against versus the 1%. Nah, fuck that, man. All right? Now you're trying to label us into the same category. No, you ain't suffer what we suffer, man. Get the fuck out of here. All right? You know? But they're suffering too, which is fulfillment of prophecy. The Lord said he's going to put all these plagues upon our enemies, on them that persecute us. So everything we was being stricken with, they're being stricken with. And our people as a nation, we're built for adversity. Even though it's hard as a people, but we're built for that. Our nation was born in adversity in Egypt. We've been through nothing but adversity through all our existence as a nation, as a people. All right? So, you know, you Edomites, now, once you start going through it now, get ready to see suicides on crazy levels, man. Especially amongst the so-called white race, man. Because y'all not built for that, man. Y'all lose some money and boom, y'all kill y'all families and commit suicide, man. Right? Because what, y'all cowards, man. You know, fugitive and a vagabond. Even when it comes to life, you want to fucking flee, commit suicide. You Edomites are cowards, man. All right, Jay go through worse things. You know, the shit that we've been through, that, you know, brothers, you know, you hear brothers' stories, different brothers' stories, what they be through. You know, different Jake stories as a people. You're like, God damn it, you could not go through that as a people, man. But anyways, Jacob's trouble, man. You being led as a flock to the slaughter. They're saying you up. Best believe when this Hantavirus comes, they're going to say you're more prone to get this, just like they did Novid. You so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, you're more prone to get the Hantavirus. You're dying at record numbers. We need you to be first in line to come ahead and take these shots. You know? And matter of fact, while you're at it, they're going to put that on your record and your digital ID, and that's going to make sure that, you know, you're up to date. Every time we come out with these new updates, you got to come up to date, or your money is going to expire. Your money's going to be blocked. You know, the benefits you have, your digital ID, digital money, digital currency is going to be blocked if you don't do this, if you don't do that. All right. Now they're allowing for companies to tokenize their assets, which means a company could now have its own currency, digital currency tied to the US dollar, due to what's it called? What's that coin? Some call that coin? It's a stable coin. All right. There's an executive order, so you know, watch how companies basically block you from spending your own money, your own pay. You know, if you don't comply. All right? So they're going to have so many different ways of trapping people into falling for this mark of the beast, this agenda, for this microchip. You know, they're going to have all these different commercials, all types of ways. They're going to push it heavy. And the main way is going to be by the means of these calamities that they're going to put these people under. you know, especially this hunger that's coming to America. Once people go hungry, watch how they sell themselves. Just like during the time of Egypt. In Genesis, during the time of Joseph, the Most High was going to bring that famine, and the Most High revealed it unto Joseph, and he prepared and hoard up grains. And the Egyptians, they basically end up selling all their possessions for food, and eventually they had nothing else but to give up but their bodies. That's what they end up saying, like, yo, we have nothing left but our bodies to sell. So people are going to sell their bodies because they ain't going to have nothing left. They're going to lose their jobs, their savings, everything they've had. They're going to be desperate, all right? Especially parents with children, you know. They got to feed their families. You're going to have people that get, you know, selfish too, right? Mother's going to get selfish, you know, let their kids die because they got to eat, especially the nigga woman, right? So I'm not supposed to eat. I'm not supposed to eat. Man, I could have other babies. Matter of fact, I'm gonna boil this one to feed my other ones. His daddy ain't shit anyways. Watch how things get bad, get grimy, man. The scriptures say, because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. People gonna go through so much, you know, backstabbings and, you know, crazy shit, you know what I'm saying, through so much toil that their hearts are gonna get cold, all right? Watching their babies get murdered. People run up in their houses, shoot them. They survived their shooting, but their kids ain't survived. Now they walking around with a collapsed lung or a collapsed liver. You know what I'm saying? Like, or, you know, coming home and families are murdered. Dead, you know, food is all gone, you know, now it's just you, right? People's hearts gonna turn cold. A lot of people gonna go crazy, lose their minds, you know. The scriptures say that too, man. The scriptures say men's hearts are gonna fail them for fear, you know, for the things coming on the earth. It's gonna be double fold. Men's hearts, they're gonna have heart attacks for fear, because that's what happens when you have extreme fear. You know, you have heart attack, you know, but hey, adding to the fact that the people that took the jab that I produce, and with the new updates that they're gonna bring, the new updates, that's gonna affect people's hearts even more, because we know this shit is, heart disease has went up, cancer has went up because of this thing. So when they come about, it's gonna fuck people's hearts. Is gonna fail them even more, because the reason a lot of people are even catching the heart problems, myocarditis and all of that, is because they may be doing physical exercise. It could be athletes too, and then boom, now you find out you got heart problems because you start getting chest issues and shit. So imagine you see something that scares you. Oh shit. You know, like, hey man, you could be a healthy person. It could be even a child. Children are dying of heart attacks now. Right? So imagine people's children dying because they end up jabbing them up. You know what I'm saying? And the children get scared and then boom, shot, dead. Right? Hey, people's gonna turn cold, man. You know? And then their minds failing them too. Man's heart's failing them for fear, for those things that are coming on the earth. You know? People's minds is literally giving up, just blank. Shell shock. You know what I'm saying? Losing hope. The scriptures talk about it in Isaiah 24th chapter. Languishing, you know? People shall languish, all right? Loss of hope. Shit, it's over. Everything is over. Everything is collapsed. And to them, they would see that it would take even years, even decades for things to even be fixed. But ain't gonna be no fixing. Ain't gonna be no decades. Because after this place is over with. You know, nuclear war. Ain't gonna be no America just failing in this Mad Max for decades, and it's, you know, wasteland. People are dying and resources are scarce. For, you know, it's gonna be like that. It's gonna be like that very soon. But America ain't just gonna be a collapsed country where it just remains. No, man, the Lord is gonna wipe this bitch out, man. It's over with. After the Lord just fucked the space up with the plagues, hit it with the chemicals, right? The Lord's gonna power wash it. Power wash it with the missiles, man. You know? The Lord is gonna use the scriptures call it the besom of destruction. You know? Lord's gonna sweep this place up. You know what I'm saying? Clean it up with the missiles, man. Because fire is a cleansing agent. Alright? But it says, going back to 2 Ezra 15, how from Israel being as its flock to the slaughter, the Lord is not going to tolerate it, but he's going to bring his people with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm and smite Egypt with plagues before and destroy the land thereof. So just like as Egypt in the old, the Most High smote them and made his name great in the earth. This time around, the Lord is going to smite this new Egypt, which is Babylon the Great, America, right? Spiritual Egypt, as spoken of in Revelation 11 and 8, you know? Spiritual Egypt, where the Lord is being crucified, where the Lord is being basically X'd out. You know, his name being X'd out. They're making the Bible illegal here and abroad in Canada, all right? So in Canada, the UK, right? Different places, even here in America. So eventually, it's going to be illegal for us to preach his word. And eventually, we're going to be made the offscouring of the people. You know, the vile, the ones that refuse to fall in line, the homeless, all right? Which, you know, even then, the Lord is going to take care of us, as the scriptures say, and in nakedness and in perils and in sword. And in all things, we're going to trust in Yahweh Shemashah is going to be with us, man. You know, so we're going to be ready. You got to be ready to lose things, you know what I'm saying? Brothers, sisters, you know what I'm saying? Be ready to be talked down upon, being persecuted, you know, and they already have a database of us, you know, making these videos, us sending different information, different messages, and, you know, they have a database for us. All right, so they're gonna label us domestic terrorists, and we've been seeing all these different false flag attacks that they've been having. All these different domestic attacks during Trump's administration has been really mainly so-called black faces. You know, the past one during the so-called Pentagon shooting, which we know is a false flag. Nobody believes it. And the ones before that, where you had a shooting at a bar, shooting at a college, all these different ones, terrorist attacks, domestic terrorism is all jakes. So they already have it in the minds of the people that domestic terrorists could be, you know, so-called black people, not your average so-called Middle East looking person. It could be anybody. It could be a so-called evil white person, right? But we know, you know, the accuser of our brethren, the so-called white man, this devil, Satan, he's gonna make us the face of terrorism, all right? Oh, they're working with Iran. They're gonna have us speaking the Hebrew in the main news, and they're gonna say, see, they're speaking that, you know, Arabic, even though the Iranians don't even speak Arabic, they speak Farsi, but they're gonna see they're speaking Arabic, so that they're working with Iran, the Iranians, and it's gonna be so stupid, man. But people are gonna fall for it. If you don't know, you're gonna fall for it, all right? But they're gonna label us these terrorists, man. You know, like you had this dude that had this rapper, this battle rapper. I forgot his name. I think it's like Fox 5. You know, he ended up stabbing some people in the subway, I believe, and the cops ended up shooting them. You know. But basically, they got video of him, basically him saying Shalom, and he, you know, doing all of this. So it's just like, yo, like, there's a lot of shit happening behind the scenes, you know what I'm saying? And when the time comes, they're gonna have, you know, their documentary, you know, what they call it, 15 minutes with Fox or something like that. These new CBS 15, you know, where they go into like in-depth, you know, deep dive into certain things, and, you know, give you like a thing, doing, you know, different interviews with different experts, different people in the government, you know what I'm saying? So they're gonna have these experts come out about Hebrew Israelism, you know, You're gonna have vocab Malone come out. We've seen a rise in domestic terrorist attacks and extremism due to religious extremism, and we all know. I'm sure many of you have known. You all have them everywhere in your different cities. They're known, and even in other countries all over the earth. This group known as Black Hebrew Israelites, and they're known for preaching doom and gloom, and it turns out that they're working with the Iranians. They've been preaching death to America. You've seen the Iranians, they preach death to America, and the President Trump, who knows, man? Oh yeah, President Trump. You've seen President Trump said he attacked Iran because they've been saying, because that's one of the things they've been saying, right? Iran's been saying death to America, so that's the reason why we attacked them. That's one of the justifications. So they're gonna say, see, they have the same ideology as the Iranians. Why should we allow them? You can see it coming, man. This devil, he's always using the same play. That's how I'm able to even come up with this, because this is always the same play that these devils use, man. All right? You're gonna have vocab Malone. Good evening, Mr. Vocab, our expert on Hebrew Israel. Good evening, Mr. Vocab. Oh yeah, you're gonna come up on there talking about the numbers. We have millions of Hebrew Israelites, and this is a problem. Right? Yeah, the scriptures talk about in the book of Maccabees how it was it was no longer lawful for a man to proclaim himself to be a Jew, during the time of Maccabees, so if you kept the laws, statutes, and commandments back then, it was a threat. So this time around is going to be the same thing, all right? To label yourself an Israelite, to have this faith, to believe this, is going to be a threat to your life, and that is going to have many fall away from the faith, and Lord's will, Yahweh Shema Shah, keep that faith upon us to endure to the end, but the Lord is going to give us that strength, all right, to endure these false things, because for years, that's what brothers have been preparing their minds for, we've been seeing this, man. The vision is coming to pass, but this is what we've been preparing our minds to see all these years, all right? So that's why, it's not going to be easy, of course, because it's going to be a time of purifying, but the Lord says he's going to make his elect more precious than fine gold. So we're going to go through things, but knowing what's to come, basically make it easier for us to deal with, if brothers get what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like with a surprise test. You know what I mean? If there's a surprise test, like if you were a studious student, if you've been up to par, then if a surprise test come, you're not, like, oh shit, fuck, yeah, what was this like? Why? Because you've been paying attention, you've been reading, you've been studying, So it's like, well, I bet, boom. You might not ace the test 100%, but you're gonna do well on the test. So that's how it is, being in this truth, man. You know what I mean? And that's because we had the right teachers, the right leaders. The Wadi Yahweh Shema Shah for setting up the apostles and the elders, man. Right? The leaders of Israel. Those are the true leaders, all right? Pardon me, I'm parched. But the word is keeping me hydrated. But the flesh is weak, brother. Yeah, man. Brothers, like it says, what is it, Revelation, the 3rd chapter? Because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the earth to try them that dwell upon the earth. The hour of temptation is overtaking the whole earth right now as we speak. These different nations, they're running out of gas, they're running out of oil. It's collapsing all these industries all over the earth. Everything depends on oil. All right, it's not just gas. It's everything depends on oil. The petrochemicals. All right, the different gases that come out of the Middle East. It's not just the oils. The different gases that come out of there. You know, that different. The medical industry depends upon, you know, different manufacturing companies. This thing is collapsing everything. There's no turning back. This thing is over with, man. You know, like this thing is over with. Is now it's no longer. Yes, always Lord's will. Yahweh Shem Yahshua Tazah. But it is the word of the Lord being done. All right, but it's not like in the past where it's just like, yo, Lord's will. This is it. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, this is actually it. Brothers could see it. You know what I'm saying? Because yeah, let me let this thing go down. Yeah, brothers could see it because this time around, yeah, brothers could see it because, you know, this thing is, there's no turning back because the damage from this thing. This is the perfect opportunity for these elites to bring forth this agenda, this digital, this technocracy, all right? And we're seeing these different companies, AI companies, they're the ones basically controlling and ruling the government right now. These technocrats, Alex Karp, Palantir, Peter Thiel, you know, Larry Ellison, you know, the dude from OpenAI, all these different dudes, man. They, you know, Elon Musk, you know, everything is geared towards AI. And this bubble, which has been pumping up this economy, is about to pop. Which, when everything else fails, and all they're gonna have these data centers, you know. So while everybody else gonna run out of power, ain't gonna be no power, and it's just gonna be too expensive. Still, the data center is still gonna be up. AI is still gonna be up. You're gonna have robots. Shit, fuck it, yeah. Well, the economy collapse, your money don't work. Guess what? We gonna get some robots. Fuck it, our company's still gonna last. You know. So, hey man, this thing, you know, like it says, the our temptation, which shall come upon all the earth to try them that dwell upon the earth. So, the our temptation is taking over the whole earth. These plagues are happening over the whole earth. All right. It says, I think in Esdras, and the world shall mourn, and sorrows shall come upon it on every side. The world right now is mourning, and there's sorrows everywhere, happening everywhere. These poor countries are first, Africa, Asia, but you know, eventually, now we're seeing Europe. They already out of fuel, so it's already happening this month. And then America is gonna run out of fuel. We already see we're running on reserves. So by the end of this month to June, America's gonna run out of fuel. So we're gonna see, they're already saying like at least $7 a gallon by June. You know what I'm saying? And you know it's not gonna stop going up. It's gonna go from 7 to, it's gonna be sudden jumps, like we be seeing, like, you know, overnight we'll see the price go up 30 cents, right? 20 cents, 10 cents. Well, guess what? There's gonna be sudden jumps. It's gonna be overnight. It go from $7 to $9.50. Yo, what the fuck? It was just $7. Come out next day. 10 to, you know. It's gonna be just like that, man. You know what I'm saying? Because Revelation 6 and 5, hyperinflation. All right. But our temptation shall come upon the whole earth to try them that dwell upon the earth. The Most High is gonna test everybody's faith using these said calamities. That's gonna put everybody in a tight spot, and people are gonna be, you know, tested, whether they're spiritual or carnal, you know, and that carnality is gonna lead them to their own destruction. That carnality is gonna lead them to taking that microchip. All right, they're gonna want a form of normalcy. You know, they're gonna want to buy and sell. Revelation 13 says, you know, you're not going to be able to buy or sell without having the mark. All right? So, you know, people, they'll say they won't take it. Just like with the jab. We seen people that said, oh, they ain't going to take it. Oh, no, they're not going to take it. And as soon as their livelihood was threatened, they went along and took it. So you're gonna have people at first like, I'm not gonna put a device inside of my body. I'm not gonna put a device in my skull and my brain. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna put that in my hand. Like, why would I do that? I know how dangerous, the radiation is and all of that. And then as time goes on, they start suffering. 666. It's the spirit. 666. All right. As time goes on, they start suffering. And it's a number of the man, right? Revelation 13, the number of the man is number 603/6, which is what? The barcode on these different products, which is also on the microchip, which means if you take it, you become a product. You become owned by these powers that be. All right? So, the people that said before they wasn't going to take it, they're going to take it when they're faced with not being able to feed themselves, feed their families, not being able to function in society, being homeless. And when they start seeing the social credit system is affecting their day-to-day life, they can't use public transportation. Now you got, instead of being able to take the train or the bus to go a certain distance, now you're going to have to walk it. All right? You got to walk 13 miles now. By the time you get home, people don't run up at your house, stole whatever you got, or killed your family. Saying, I'm just speaking about, the 2/3 of our people, of our nation, and these heathen nations, because that's who got to worry about stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? The elect of Yahweh Shem Ashah, they're going to be preserved. Right? The Lord said in Zechariah 13, I will bring the third part through the fire, and they shall be tried as silver is tried. So the elect are going to go through things too, but they ain't going to be destroyed, Like the scripture say in Ezra, 2nd Ezra, I believe, the 8th chapter, it says how those that have done evil, the righteous shall suffer straight things and hope for wide. And those that have done evil have suffered straight things, yet they shall not see the wide. Meaning that both the righteous and the wicked, they're going to suffer, but the righteous, the elect, they're going to have that hope in Yahweh Shem Ashah for wide, for the kingdom of heaven, which is going to basically outshine whatever fear or whatever, troubles that they go through, right? Because like the scriptures say, through much tribulation we shall enter into the kingdom of heaven. We understand that. We have that mindset. A 2/3 nigga in the world, they don't understand that. They don't understand that what's coming to the nation of Israel. They don't understand that they're going to have to suffer as a people in order to receive the kingdom. 2nd Ezra, the 7th chapter. They don't understand scriptures like that, man. Like, how do you receive the kingdom, the city that is set on a hill, which represents the kingdom of heaven, and it's full of all good things? And how can you go onto it unless you pass the dangers that is set before you, which is going into Jacob's trouble? So we understand the righteous, they're going to suffer straight things and hope for good. For why? But the wicked shall suffer straight things, yet they shall not see the wide. They're going to suffer straight things, but they're not going to have that hope in Yahweh Shem Ashah, which is going to lead unto them making deadly decisions. They're going to go ahead and take jabs like they did during Novid. We had that faith in Yahweh Shem Ashah not to go ahead and take these jabs. These other congregations, they told their congregations go ahead and take it. So just like this one, they're going to do the same thing. Go ahead and take the new jabs for the Hantavirus, right? And that's going to lead, to the ruin of many. The ruin of many is coming, man. People are going to be dropping dead. Scripture say the day is coming where they that be dwell upon the earth shall be taken in a great number, and the way of truth shall be hidden, and the land shall be barren of faith. You know? So they that dwell on the earth shall be taken in a great number, man. People gonna die in massive numbers. 20,000 here, 10,000 there, 100,000 there. Right? It's gonna be so many different forms of judgments happening all at once. Your space is not gonna catch a break, man. Heat wave this summer. You know what I'm saying? Heat wave this summer and winter, man. People just dropping dead off of the heat. No power. Energy bill too high because of the record heat wave, and the grid is already too surged up. You know what I'm saying? So no AC, no what's it called? No gasoline for your car. First and foremost, you're gonna have to try to preserve that. Blazing heat. No AC in the summer. It's gonna drain your fucking gas. You know what I'm saying? No power, no heat in the winter. You know what I'm saying? And yo, man, it's gonna be bad, man. But it's gonna be calamity upon calamity. Back to back to back to back to back to back. Earthquake, boom, thousands dead. And then tornado. On top of hunger, on top of plagues, on top of war. You know what I'm saying? Plagues upon plagues, man. The Most High is not gonna stop bringing judgments, man. All right. So, you know, with that, you know, close out. Hope this was edifying. So with that, I'm gonna give all praises